Welcome to Cosmic Conversations, the podcast where spirituality meets real life. I'm Siobhan, your host, aka the Cosmic Coach, and this is a space where we are going to explore the layers of what make us truly who we are. There's going to be a series of solo episodes along with some incredible guests, a space where we can truly discuss the universe within us all. Today's episode, I wanted to just remind you guys that we are nearly finished with season 1. This is the second to last episode of season 1 of Cosmic Conversations. I have loved every second of this journey. I have loved sharing parts of me that I love to express and feel seen, and I've enjoyed having multiple guests on. And although the season's coming to an end, I am planning with my incredible manager and producer Aideen. We're planning an incredible season 2. We've already got some guests in the works. But I want us to stay connected in the interim between season 1 and season 2. So I would love if you guys could go and follow me on Instagram at Cosmic Conversations Pod, or my single business page, or my solo business page, I should say, is at thecosmiccoach.ie. Come over, give us a follow. I'm going to be launching a giveaway very soon in collaboration with both my pages. And that's going to be a brilliant giveaway. So make sure you follow me. I'm also going to be having a mini-sode series on Instagram. So in between the break of season 1 and 2, I want to keep this momentum going. There's so many chats and conversations I want to have with people. So I'm going to have some amazing guests on Instagram live where we're going to have a cosmic chat for like 25 minutes. And that's going to be another little way for you guys to get your Cosmic Conversations dose in between season 1 and season 2. So make sure to come over to Instagram, give me a follow, and stay in the loop. Ciara Ashwell, welcome to Cosmic Conversations.
Hello. I'm excited.
I'm so excited to have you. Ever since I first met you a couple of weeks ago when our lovely friend Eva was over in Ireland. For a little bit of context for everyone listening, we met at a dinner and it was so lovely. And I remember sitting there and the conversations we were having were like out of this fucking world. And I think the people around us must have thought we were like, I don't know, like
crazy,
drunk or crazy. Yeah. We were talking about so much and I was so fascinated. I think it's so lovely to talk to someone else who's like also a healer, also spiritual, and maybe is like more interested in things that I'm not so much into. So I was like, oh my God, tell me more. So after I met you that time, I was like, I need to get her on the podcast. And then I met you again at Eva's retreat. Yeah. And you did your conscious connected breathwork, and that was like, did I just take acid? I was like, oh my God.
That's my favorite modality. I love it. It's just incredible.
It's just so incredible. So so I just knew this had to happen. I'm so grateful to have you on. I know people are really, really going to enjoy listening to this. But I suppose before we get a little bit more into it, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, I'd love to. So my name is Ciara. So people ask me this all the time. You're like, what actually do I do? So
I know, it's hard.
I say primarily I'm like an intuitive energy healer, and my soul's purpose, my role has kind of changed since I'm doing energy work for 15 years, almost 15 years now. And my role, I suppose, I'm doing this work full time 3 years now, and it's kind of changed over the last 3 years. So now I'm kind of more focused on helping souls, people who are on their awakening journey, being there to support them. That's kind of where my role has changed. Just so like that, I hold retreats, I do different events, breath work and cow and sound baths and all that lovely stuff. I love holding retreats and all that stuff. I have a little cabin that I work and do my one-to-ones from, so different types of energy healing and stuff. So that's kind of what I do.
You're a woman of many trades.
Woman of many talents, yes.
Yeah.
All the good stuff.
I'd love to hear, like, when did this all start? Like, I think I remember you telling me you started off with the Reiki, but like, what was that transition like from going to before and then into this kind of work?
Yeah. Well, the first healing modality I trained in was integrated energy therapy. So that's a form of angelic healing. So that was the first healing modality. I'd been getting Reiki myself I've been getting Reiki for about 25 years. I remember I had my first Reiki session, and there was like two people in the whole of Dublin that were doing Reiki, like, and I had to travel really far, and now sure, God, there's so many people doing it, but I had been getting Reiki myself for a good few years, and then I started my own spiritual journey 20 years ago now. Oh my God. That was the kind of beginning of my spiritual journey. And a few years after that, so probably about 17, 18 years ago now, I first trained in integrated energy therapy. As I said, that's a form of angelic healing. And then a good few years later, then I trained in Reiki, and then it's just kind of snowballed from there, really.
So I guess like you probably always had a spiritual side then, considering you were doing Reiki for years, you were hunting out the Reiki masters in your area, and kind of like did that encourage you to explore this kind of part of life, I suppose?
Well, I've always been, that's always been in me since I was a little girl. I've always been angel mad. Like from the time I can remember, I've always been so connected to the angels. So, and that side of me was always there. Like everything, I shut it off when I got into my teenage years. I remember I was always like, I was UFO mad. Remember like back in the 90s and like all the shows like the X-Files and Roswell and all the UFO programs. I was like, so that was just my thing. But then I kind of shut it off when I got into my teenage years, kind of my mid-teenage years. And then I just became wild. And I was just like a party animal, and I really dissociated myself from that side of myself. I really took a step back. And I suppose you're just fitting in with everybody else in the crowd, aren't you? And I was out partying all the time and drinking alcohol and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And then when I was 25, I had Archangel Michael came to me in a dream. I was awake, but not awake, if that makes sense. And that was the first experience I had with an angel in my adulthood. And I woke up the next morning and everything changed. I got my first deck of angel cards, Doreen Virtue angel cards. And that kind of, this was 21 years ago now. That kind of got me back on the road of my spirituality. And like that, a few years later, I trained in IT and then Reiki and stuff. So it was always in me. It was always there, but I did come away from it. And I think that happens a lot with people on their spiritual journey. You dip your toes in and out for a while, and
Yeah.
you kind of have multiple awakenings, like something will happen and you'll go down and then you kind of dip in and out. And that certainly was the case for me anyway. So,
Yeah, I was just thinking like do you think like that maybe needed to happen, that like you like you said dissociate for a few years and then came back into it? Like did
yeah.
Michael come to you at a time and was like, okay, like it's time to come back? Or
No, well,
was that
actually, well, I was at this point now, I was partying a lot. And I was going through a breakup at the time. Well, I was doing the breaking up, and it was something I was really battling with, this decision. So I really wasn't in a great place. And yeah, I was really heavily drinking and partying at this stage. And he came to me really, I still can see him when I close my eyes, and even talking about him now, my ears are starting to ring. He came to me and he told me that it wasn't time yet to leave the relationship, that he was my guide, he was with me on my journey, like he had he opened his wings, and I can't even describe how big this angel was. He was huge. And yeah, he told me he was going to be my guide on my journey, and he was with me every step of the way. And then yeah, I woke up from that and I was like, oh my goodness. And literally things changed for me overnight after that. I just really got obsessed back again with the angels. I was getting my angel books and reading them on my angel cards and everything. But yeah, I hadn't had an experience like that in my adulthood. So that was really what kind of pushed me back into everything. I didn't end up leaving the relationship for another couple of years after that, but I was well then on my journey at that stage. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. Like I think, like you said, when you seen Michael, I think there often is times where they do come to us when we're really like at a rock bottom, like when we're going through something. Like you said, you're like going through this beginning phase of breakup, it kind of seems to be an occurring theme that they just come at that kind of really low point, which I suppose is to bring comfort and to like say, I'm with you, I'm your guide, this is what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
um but then I suppose, what happened next in terms of like your developing your connection with them? Because I know maybe like for people who are listening who are spiritual, maybe they've done Reiki, like, and you're in the game now so long. And I think like for myself, when I started off, I was like, okay, like I want to be able to see the angels, I want to be able to speak to them, I want to be able to connect to them whenever, wherever. And that's just not how it goes. It's very much
Yeah.
like a, you build and you build on this connection. So I suppose my question is like, looking back then and now, how has your connection grown with like your spiritual team?
Oh my God. If I when I look back 20 years ago, 21 years ago now, if you would have told me then that I'm doing what I do now, I would have run for the hills. I would have thought you were crazy and I would have ran for the hills. Things opened up very slowly for me over those 21 years. It was a very gradual process, as in like my gifts opening up, my third eye opening up. That process was very slow for me. Really, things started to open up. So I trained in the IET first. As I said, that was 15 years ago. And then a couple of years later, the Reiki. And I trained in Reiki about 12 years now. When I trained in Reiki, things really started to open up for me. And but it was a slow process. Like my students now, I teach Reiki and I teach Rahani, and the students that are coming to me now on their level one are like, my mind just be blown. I remember doing my level one and like, I wasn't getting visions. I wasn't doing any of the stuff that students on their level one are doing now. So
Yeah.
I think people are waking up a lot quicker now. My process was very gradual, but that's how my soul chose to do it. If things had opened up really quickly for me, I probably would have got a fright and it would have been too much. So yeah, things, as I said, it was a slow process for me, but just, I really believe everything opens up for you exactly when it's supposed to. Everything is in divine timing. Your gifts will open up when they're supposed to. And as I said, for me, it was a gradual process, but I needed it to be that way because otherwise I probably wouldn't, it would have frightened me too much and I wouldn't want to be doing the work. So your guides always know best. They'll only give you what you can handle. That's what I always say. And yeah, so it was a slow process for me, but I think just the more work you do, and I had a couple, like even after I trained in Reiki, after that, then I went through a very long IVF battle, and I had lots of pregnancy losses, and I totally disconnected again. I would have been so this was about 10 years ago. So I was a good 10 years into my awakening journey, and I really hit rock bottom again, and I came away from all that side of myself again, and I was effing and blind in the angels for not helping me and not knowing that journey needed to happen. But I did hit another rock bottom with all the pregnancy losses, and I went through a big depression, and I actually took a year out from the IVF just to really work on my mindset. And that's when I trained in feng shui. I became a feng shui practitioner, and I learned all about the law of attraction and manifestation. And then I had my seventh IVF transfer, which resulted in my firstborn daughter, Ava. So after all that, then after Ava was born, that's really pushed me back. Things really opened up for me after that. So I think it kind of happens that way. You dip your toes in and out, and then like something will happen, and then it'll really open things up for you. And then so yeah, after Ava was born, Ava is 7.5 now. That's when things really, really started to open up for me.
It's so true. Like, actually, my counselor and healer, she said to me before, the angels are never going to scare you, so they're never going to try and overload you or give you too much.
Yeah.
But I agree so much with what you said about when you had Ava, because I think it's the same for me. Like when I had my son, it was like you question yourself so much and your values and your morals, but it really plays into your spirituality too. And
Yeah.
wanting to believe in something bigger and wanting to believe that like their soul, like you do have that connection with your child. You're like, I know you, like not in
Yeah.
just this life, like
Oh yeah.
so yeah, I 100% feel that having children is a massive like spiritual deepening. And you mentioned there
Yeah.
pregnancy loss, and I had a miscarriage a few months ago. The episode would be out last week now, and
No.
people are listening. Yeah, so it was rough, and like although I can relate to you in some of what you're saying. It was such an emotionally challenging time, but I remember feeling like so connected to my angels. And I remember a good friend of mine saying, like, I don't know if you'll agree with this, but I feel every pregnancy brings you a gift, even if that pregnancy, if that soul doesn't come into the world and stay with us. And I really
Yeah.
felt that after that pregnancy, my own spiritual gifts really grew. And I definitely had this moment of like, why is this happening to me? Like, what? Oh my God, like, angels, what the hell? Like, what? Like, you need to help me here. But now, kind of looking back, I know, like, I think when things like that happen to us, it's also part of our story, and that we can help others, and we can, like, we have
Yeah.
this understanding where we can meet people on that level who have maybe gone through something similar.
Yeah.
And it's definitely part of like that whole becoming, I really feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I a lot of my Reiki clients are fertility people going through fertility issues, and obviously I've been there. I could write a book on it, so I'm able to help them a lot. And at the time it was so devastating what I was going through, but at the time I didn't fully comprehend the whole, that's a soul, that it's just a vessel that they're coming down in. That soul just goes and stays and comes back in another vessel. So
Yeah.
like the pregnancy losses that I now have them back as my 3 children.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
know that for sure. At the time I didn't fully comprehend that. So obviously a loss, you're just so devastated. But now I know, though, that was just the vessel that their little soul was in, and then they just chose a new vessel to come in. So
Yeah.
they did come back to me, but I didn't see that at the time. But that's why I had to go through the process, because really that's what really got me to explore my soul origins and all of the stuff that I am so passionate about now, was because of the pregnancy losses. So everything happens for a reason, it really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, for sure. And I love actually on your broadcast channel, on your stories the other day, you shared how your son is so like gifted, and he does his magic Reiki. I don't know if
Yeah.
you want to share it with people. I think that's absolutely fascinating that he's so
Oh,
connected.
he's so well. All three of them are little star seeds. Ava, my eldest Ava, she started speaking light language when she was 2, and her light language actually activated my light language. So she doesn't speak it as much anymore, because I think obviously she's 7.5 now. So
Yeah.
already you can see. But when she was speaking light language soon after she was able to physically speak. Jake, my middle, he's 5. He's a twin, him and Amelia. He is probably the most intuitive out of all of them, but he gets a lot of visitations at night time. He's a proper little star seed. He gets activations. The Sirians come in and activate, and he's able to tell me he calls it his top eye, and they activate his top eye. He calls them the blue angels. Archangel Michael comes to him, my father-in-law who's passed away, my husband's father. He comes to him and he gives him messages for us. And yeah, he's so open and intuitive. And the story about the healing, I had a really bad headache for a good couple of days, and we were just sitting on the couch, and he said to me, oh mommy, I'll use he calls them his Reiki powers. And he came over and he put his hands on my head, and then he was like, mommy, the angels told me I have to pull it out. And he's like doing all this psychic surgery basically, and his hands are gone, and he was pulling out, and then the hands back gone. And I was like, oh, he's definitely going to be a healer.
Oh my
He is
God, I can't wait to see that child in like 20 years.
He's incredible, but it's so normal to him. It's
Yeah.
so normal to him. Like, it's just because it's his truth. Like, this is what I say all the time. Like, it's normal to him because it's his truth. Like, the angels come to him, they speak to him, so
Yeah, and I
yeah.
think I'm sure having you as their mother is like, it makes it safe for them to express that and to welcome it in more. Because the way like years ago, we'd be like, oh no, that's not true, that's not real, that's
Your
not real.
imaginary,
And you shut down.
friend.
Yeah, yeah.
Or, well, look, that talk in our house is normal. Like, we talk about the angels all the time. We talk about the Syrians and the Octurians and the Andromedans, and they all know where they're from, and they all know, so that's normal discussions every day in our house. So yeah,
That's so lovely. I
Yeah,
wish I grew up in a house like that, but I suppose we all choose, where we grow up. I think
absolutely.
like the new souls as well, like that generation, like my son's 2.5, so he's still too young to kind of start talking about things like that. But
Yeah.
um, I just think like you said, like even with teaching your Reiki, like people are just ascending so much quicker now because it's
Oh,
like there's less karma, so it's just like right, we're just
yeah.
gonna go straight into like this. So it's really really
Yeah.
fascinating. You mentioned there like they're star seeds, and I know that's probably what a lot of people are listening for. Like, get into the star seed talk. But for anyone listening who doesn't know what a star seed is, would you be able to
Mhm.
explain to us what it is?
Yes, of course. So you will have um you have your soul origins. Everybody has their soul origins. So we all come from the same source, whether that's God, the universe, source, whatever you want to call it. So we all come from the same place. And I always say this when I talk about star seeds, all souls are the same. Whether you're a star seed or an earth soul, no soul is better than the other. We are all the same. We all come from the same place. We all come from source. So your soul origins is from that very moment your soul, from the very first time, comes into existence from source, your soul has to go somewhere. If your soul comes to Earth, you're an Earth soul. If your soul first goes to one of the realms, dimensions, planets, star systems, you're a star seed. If you're a star seed, you will have your soul origins, which is where your first soul first went to. So for myself, I'm an angelic star seed. So my soul, for the very first time when it came into existence from source, went up to the angelic realms. I'm part of the seraphim lineage. Your starseed origin then is because you will have multiple places that you went to if you're a starseed. It's like, I do always say, it's like you live in Ireland, but you holiday to Portugal, you go to America, you go to Australia. Your soul will have go to you won't just have one star seed. You won't just be Palladian, or you won't just be Syrian. You will have you be multidimensional. You're a multidimensional soul. But the last place that your soul had an existence in before your earthly life, we call that your starseed origin. And that's just because that tends to be, as an earthly soul, what the most frequency that you carry. So my last place that I had an incarnation in before my earthly incarnations was the Pleiades. So I'd be classed as a Palladian starseed, even though the first place I went to was
You're
Venus.
angel.
Then and then I was
Yeah.
Venus, then I went to Andromeda, then I was Sirius A, Sirius B, then the Pleiades, then Atlantis and Lemuria. So I'll have fractions of all of those different places, but because the Pleiades was the last bit, I actually had 22 lifetimes in the Pleiades, so I'd have very Palladian energy, but I'd have fractions of all the other places. So that's when you're a star seed, you will have multiple fractions of different places. So again, that's the difference that's what it is to be a star seed. It just means that your soul went up to the planets, realms, dimensions, star systems, instead of coming to Earth first. So they reckon that we have over 8 billion souls on the planet at the minute on Earth. So they say on Earth, we have about 75% of the people on Earth are Earth souls, and the other 25% are star seeds. However, as a whole, in all the universe, there's obviously more star seeds than Earth souls. It's just obviously Earth at the minute, 75% of the souls on Earth are Earth souls. The other 25% are star seeds.
Okay, I get you. And like you're describing there like, so where you come first when you come out of source or leave
Yeah.
source. So I suppose like why do you think there's like a certain amount of starseed souls and earth souls? Like are we all here with different missions? Is it different vibrations we all hold?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's just where your soul decides to come first,
Hmm.
And again, so even like there is still so the star seeds, from just from the work that I do, from working with a lot of star seeds, and obviously all the research I've done and people I spoke to, star seeds that are here on Earth at the minute, we're here for a purpose, and that is to assist in this mass awakening that we're all going through, that the planet Earth is going through. So the planet Earth is shifting from the 3-dimensional energy into the 5th dimensional energy. And when I say that, it's not a place, it's not that we're going somewhere, it's the consciousness. So when we speak about the 3D, 4D, 5D, it's a state of consciousness. So our consciousness is rising collectively as a planet Earth, our consciousness is rising. So the star seeds that are here at the minute are here to, we have volunteered to come to Earth to assist with this awakening. So that's why people are waking up at such a quicker speed now, because we're going through this shift in consciousness. They say at the minute we're probably mainly in about 4D. A lot of star seeds here, though, are operating between the kind of 5 and 7D, even as a frequency consciousness, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So star seeds are here. So that's why star seeds will go through their awakening. They'll figure out who they are. And not all star seeds are going to be healers, by the way. Some are here to do grid work. Some are here to be way showers. Some are here to be, to be healers. Some, a lot of star seeds you see would be like doctors or, nurses or, healers in a different capacity. You don't have to be like a hands-on healer to be a star seed either. So there's kind of different, star seeds will have agreed to come here to do different roles. A lot of them will be healers and stuff, but some of them are just, as I said, they're grid workers or they're way showers or they're, that type of stuff. So, but that's why they're here at the minute, is to help other souls with the with this big awakening that we're going through at the minute.
Yeah, I suppose some people might not even know if they are a starseed because they might not choose to really explore that.
Yeah, well, I always say, from my experience and from speaking to other starseeds, I think you will have an idea, and it will be a case that, like, when I look back, obviously I never knew I was a starseed up until kind of 6-7 years ago. But when I look back, I was always angel mad. I was always like UFO mad. I was always like, I remember as an early teenager. Remember all the, like, in the 90s, all the, like, the UFO abduction stuff was going on. And all the
I was abducted by aliens, all those stories.
I was so invested in those programs, and like the X-Files and Roswell and all of them. But I remember, remember so clearly of different people having conversations. Remember all the Area 51 stuff was coming out and all this. And I remember people saying, oh, it's so aliens, like that's. And I remember thinking, of course there's aliens.
Yeah, like, how can we be the only life form? Like,
what is wrong with you? So looking back, it was, I didn't understand at the time. Like, at the time, it wasn't like, oh, I'm a starseed. That came much, much later. As I said, literally only 6 or 7 years ago. But when I look back, and again, I was like dolphin obsessed as a child. I used to always say that the dolphins were speaking to me, and that's the Sirian side of me, because in Sirius we speak like. Sirius is where with the dolphins and stuff. So there was so much of my childhood and teenage years that when I look back, I was like, that just makes so much sense. So I think even if it's not, like, for me, obviously I've worked with Galactic Akashic readers over the years who have confirmed all my lineage and all of that. But even if I hadn't done that and had it all confirmed, I still kind of knew myself. And I always feel if you're a starseed, it will open up. Eventually, I'm in my mid-40s now, so as I said, I've only found out my true lineage the last probably 6 or 7 years. But so you might know, like, when you're a teenager, or like, but I think you always know, you'll always feel a little bit different, you always, I think if you're a starseed, you will know at some point, whether that's in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, but you will know, I feel.
Yeah, I was actually only saying to a friend the other day, he's also a healer. I was saying, like, so when I was a kid, I was quite similar. I was fascinated by angels. My mum would have talked with the angels a lot. I would have read, Angels in Your Hair by Lorna Byrne. I was always very drawn to it and fascinated with the stars. I was like obsessed with the sky, and I'd always look out with that sense of like, what's out there? Like, what is actually out there? But I was saying to my friends the other day, it's so funny to admit now, but I remember, like, growing up as a kid, I was like, I'm going to be a singer. Like, I'm going to be famous. Like, I'm going to be, like, on a stage, and, like, I think I'm destined to be famous. Like, and I think now looking back, it's that sense of, like, not like fame that we think of now, or pop stars and stuff. Like, I was thinking like Hannah Montana back then, being like, oh, I'm going to be like Hannah Montana. Like, but I think now it's more so just about, like, sharing, like, connecting with people and sharing your your
During
vision,
your
your wisdom,
yeah.
whatever it is. Yeah. And I think we were, when she was like, I was the same. I thought I was going to be a singer as well. I was like, it's so funny how like it could be like a spiritual, a starseed thing that like you feel this innate calling to like step up to this role.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
I was like, so it's not Hannah Montana, a little bit different. But I can understand how as a child, I just felt this calling of like, I'm gonna be something. Like I'm
Yeah,
gonna be, yeah. So it's so interesting to hear you say that, that you had that
yeah,
like innate sense.
yeah. And I think
But like,
most star seeds do. From my experience anyway, I think most star seeds just know they're a little bit different. Or when they look back, they'd be like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense, you know?
sorry. I suppose for anyone listening, like I know you described like how did you know you were a starseed, or how would someone listening know if they're a starseed?
So
Like we described that innate feeling, but like what are their like
yeah,
traits or would you describe?
okay. Okay, well, from me, I'll just say my story of how it happened. So like that, I've always been angel mad, so that was always there. And then about 10 years ago, I came across Dolores Cannon, and I don't know if you know Dolores Cannon, but
Yeah.
that was the first time I ever heard somebody speak about star seeds. I'd never heard of it before. And I was like, oh my God, like something just clicked. And then after Dolores, I came across Debbie Solaris and then Elizabeth April, and they all talk about star seeds and stuff. And just something just hit me. And I was like, oh my God, I need, like, this makes so much sense. And I just researched it. I was just, and I always feel like your galactic family, they're just waiting for you to be like, okay. And remember, they're like the angels. They're never going to push it on you. They wait for you to figure it out. Like they're standing in the background and they're like eagerly waiting. And as
So
soon as you're
patient.
so patient, well, time is so, there's no time,
That's
like,
actually so fair. Yeah. Oh my God.
so,
Time is
but
so different.
it's like they're waiting for you to acknowledge it, and then they hit you. It's like boom, and then everything comes. So like Dolores Cannon came, and then as I said, Debbie Solaris and Elizabeth April, and I just started really researching it, and I just again I get a bit obsessive over things, and I like went full throttle in, and things, as I said, remember I was saying earlier, things opened up really slowly for me. But it's like as soon as I acknowledged that part or that side of things, that's when like my third eye started opening up more. So like then in meditations, I actually thought it was an angel who came to me in a meditation, but found out later he was actually an Andromedan starseed who would be part of my starseed lineage, because they're very angelic. The Andromedans some of them have wings and stuff, and they look very angelic. So an Andromeda was coming to me, and then the white lion, which is the Lyran lion, was coming to me in meditation. So when I was researching because there's so many different types of star seeds, but when I was researching them all, I was like I was so drawn to the Pleiades. I was so drawn to Sirius, so drawn to Venus, so drawn to Andromedan. So I knew, and Lyra, I was really drawn to Lyra as well. And they were the ones I was drawn to. And as I said, I was getting like, they were coming through with meditations and stuff. And then I said, okay, I'm going to book an Akashic. So to find out your starseed lineage, you want to go to a Galactic Akashic Records reader. So you have your normal Akashic Records reader who look at your earthly lifetimes, past lifetimes, and then you have a Galactic Akashic reader who looks at your starseed lifetimes. So I booked an appointment with this lady. She was really big at the time. She's since retired. And I got an appointment with her, and like that, she went into my records and was able to confirm. So all of the ones that just an orb just flew by there. all of the ones that, because they love when we talk about them, all
Yeah.
of the starseed lineages that I had a connection with was my lineage. Obviously, I didn't know, but she was able to piece it together for me. So she was able to say, you're an angelic starseed, and then you went here, 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 here. And it just made so much sense. I was like, oh my God. And then since that original lady, she was the first one I went to about 7 years ago. I've since been to a further 3. And all of the other 3 got my lineage exactly the same. exactly
Oh
the
my
same.
God.
So just to have that confirmation 4 times, even though I knew myself, but I didn't know, like
Yeah.
they go into so much detail. They're able to tell you what you did there. And like I was a
Oh,
high priestess in Lemuria, and I was on the Galactic Council when I was in Venus. And like they go into so much detail, and it just made so much sense. So I think once you start looking into it, things just open up, you know.
yeah.
So that's how it was for me, and it's just fascinating.
That's so true, actually. I think I first heard about Starseeds was in lockdown, which I know was like a massive awakening for people. And like that, I felt really drawn to the Pleiades. I was like reading their characteristics and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but then actually after the breathwork at Eva's retreat, I remember you saying to me, you're like, your light language is going to come in soon. And I swear to God, like you said, once I started speaking about them with you, and obviously because you're so in tune with them, my light language came in through healings. But it was like, I was a bit like, oh, so it's very much like sounds and stuff coming through, but it was just like you
Yeah.
said, like when I started to talk about them, when I started to focus my attention onto them again, it was like the signs were coming in. And I
Yeah.
think I said to you when the first time we met, I read a book. It's called What is Light Body? I can't remember the author's name, but I'll link it. I'll get Aideen to link it in the show notes. But I remember reading that, and it talks about like why we came to. It's channeled. So Archangel Ariel, this woman channeled Archangel Ariel, and she's talking about why we came to the planet and starseeds and Pleiadians. And she's talking about how like if you're reading this book, you're remembering why you came. And I remember lying in bed and just like bawling, crying, like, but like it was like a sense of like it was like happy tears. Like I was just tears were streaming down my face, and I was like, oh my God, like reading it on my Kindle in the pitch black, like my sunlight beside me asleep. And I remember just like getting all these visions and like lights flashing and like heads popping up, and it was like, oh my God, yay, she's like, this is like her actually acknowledging and finding out now. And
Yeah.
ever since that I was like, wow. And now I've been more like practicing with the angels and stuff. But I've always like the star seeds. I've always had like I've always been drawn to them, like you
Yeah.
say. Um,
Yeah.
but you mentioned like the different races there and like your lineage that you discovered through galactic Akashic record readings. Could you tell us a little bit about like the different star seeds or the different planets?
Yeah. Well, so I, again, from just working with starseeds and my own research and stuff, so all starseeds will carry similar traits. So like that, all starseeds who are on Earth at the minute, so starseeds who have incarnated on Earth will all tend to have similar traits. So we're all quite sensitive, empathetic, love animals. We all kind of have
Mhm.
those similar, hate violence, all of that type of stuff. Very, and you don't even have to be like open and intuitive at this point, like, because that may not have opened up for you yet. But generally, when you look back, you're very sensitive as a kid. A lot of the times you find it hard to fit in, so you tend to be people pleasers. You tend to, a lot of starseeds do go through harder times and trauma as well. So that'll be, but then when you look at the individual starseed races, so for instance, the Pleiadians are very, very heart-centered, very, very heart-centered. The Arcturians out of all the starseeds are probably the most highly advanced of the starseeds. So they'd be very technical. And like the Lyrans are very strong, a very, so each different starseed will carry different traits, and the Andromedans then are very, very angelic, so very telepathic, very, but so a lot of them would have similar traits,
Mhm.
but then they would have their own little individual traits as well.
Yeah, so they all kind of have like their niches, I suppose, then.
I always say it's like, do you know when you're Irish, and like
Yeah.
Irish people tend to be quite similar in one sense, like it's like a cultural thing,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then like Spanish are like culturally different. It's the very same as starseeds. Like
Yeah.
it's like you're culturally different, if that makes sense. Trying to explain it in easy terms. So while they would have similar traits all over, individually, then they can be quite different and have different types of traits and stuff. So
Yeah. So like I suppose I'm curious to know, like obviously we're all on Earth now and there's some of us have that kind of starseed origin. Are the other ones like are they out on other planets now just like working away? Like I know here we're like fighting this
yes,
energetic
very much
war.
so. Oh, that's been going on for millennia. But yeah, well, like sure, they're connecting in with us. Like
Yeah.
they're still. It's not like starseeds are something that existed. Like they're there. They're here still up where they are, and sure, they're connecting in with people a lot. That's why they're coming. The Arcturians, I find, are coming in so much for people. In the last couple of years, they're doing a lot of activations. Now, I've never had an incarnation in Arcturus, but they've been working with me a lot for the last 6 months, and they're again, remember the star seeds, they want Earth to, like everything, you have the good and you have the bad. Where there's light, there's dark. So you have the good star seeds, and then you have the not so good star seeds. So the good star seeds want Earth to shift into the fifth dimensional consciousness, and they're trying to help us with that. That's why they're coming down more. They're connecting in with people more. They're helping us open up our gifts so we can go through this ascension process. And then you have the not so nice ones that don't want Earth. They want Earth to stay in the 3D, and they're trying to sabotage that. So they'd be the likes of the Dracos and the reptilians. Now, you do also get some star seeds, but very, very small, and the Greys would be another one. The Greys would be the ones who would have done all the, the abductions that you would have heard about. Now, the Arcturians will have been known to have done abductions as well, but for the good. So there's a little bit of a difference. But remember back again in the 80s and 90s, and there was all those abductions going on that would be in the Greys. So like the Greys, the Draconians and the Reptilians, again, not all of them, but the majority of them would be the non-malevolent ones. I can never say that word. But you would also have some Pleiadians aren't for the light. Some Lyrans aren't for the light. It's the same, but most of them would be, if that makes sense. But you would have the odd few then that don't have our best intentions at heart, but they're connecting in with us a lot more. The ones that want us to shift into the fifth dimensional conscious, they're helping Earth massively. They're helping us so much. So yes, they're there, very much so, and they do come in and connect with us a lot, and they're coming in so much more in the last few years. So
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like they're helping the ones on Earth to wake up so that we can work on the Earth, and they can work in the ethers, and we can work together and like help. And you mentioned like obviously the kind of the law of polarity. We can't have the good without the bad. There is like a sense of, I suppose, like the yin and the yang, balance on Earth. And like, would you be able to like maybe tell a little bit more about like what is going on the Earth in terms of like this kind of like energetic, would you call it like an energetic war? I know there's physical war as well.
Well, and this is going very deep, and a lot of people won't understand this, but so you don't even know how to start this conversation because it is a little bit out.
This is what we're talking about at our meal. There's people literally like jaws on the floor, like, what in the world? They're talking about reptiles.
Yeah. So the original Galactic War was between the Lyrans and the Draco Reptilians. And that was the very first Galactic War. And what had happened was obviously the Lyrans thought they were the only race in the universe, and so did the Reptilians and Dracos, and they came and invaded Lyra, and there was they wanted to take over Lyra, and there was a big massive war, and the Lyrans fled. And that's why a lot of starseeds will have because the Lyrans would have, a lot of them fled to the likes of Andromeda and Sirius and stuff, and that was the beginning of the Galactic Wars. Now those wars still go on in the others in this day and age. Those wars are still going on. So you often hear people saying we're going through a spiritual war, and that's what's happening, because these lower vibrational beings like the Reptilians and the Draconians, they don't want Earth. They see Earth as theirs, and these Reptilians and Draconians are walking among us, by the way. Mm-hmm. They are walking among us in human form on the Earth at the minute. So you would see this a lot. They have the ability to take over a human body. So you would see these Reptilians and the Draconians, you would see mostly in states of power. So the likes of the governments and the music industry and Hollywood and stuff like that. And they're here because they want to control Earth. They don't want us to ascend. They don't want us knowing how powerful we are. The human race, human beings, with our 12 strands of DNA, human beings are the most powerful species in the whole of the multi-universe. Okay? Everything has been closed off for us, and we've been living, in my ear is ringing really loudly now as I'm talking about this. So with us living in this 3-dimensional energy, our full gifts can't open up. So as we're ascending into the 5th dimensional energy, and all of our gifts that are within everybody, by the way, whether you're an earth soul or when you're a human, whether you're a starseed or an earth soul, you have these gifts within. We all have these gifts within. And as we're collectively moving into the 5th dimensional consciousness, our gifts are waking up. Not just starseeds, all souls. The darker side don't want that happening, because when we know how truly powerful we are, they don't have any control anymore. They've been running planet Earth since Earth has been in existence, and they obviously don't want to hand that power over. So that's when you hear about the spiritual war that's going on. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
So we are going through a spiritual war at the minute, and it's literally the light against the dark. The tale as old as time.
Yeah.
Light against the dark. But it's very, very real. So that's so the more, and that's why, remember, the dark side, they live off fear. So that's why, and a lot of them they have full control over the media, the music industry, Hollywood. So that's why I don't watch the news. I don't read the papers. I don't like all of those like horror movies and all of this. They feed off our fear. So that's what, when we're in a place of fear, we're so disconnected. We're disconnected from our higher self. Yeah. Absolutely, because fear is one of the lowest vibrations. So they want to keep us in fear. So when we're in fear and when we're on the lowest vibration, which is fear, we're completely disconnected from our higher self. We're disconnected from our guides. We're disconnected from that higher intelligence. We're disconnected from our upper chakras when we're in a place of fear. And that's where they want to keep us. So that's why I promise you, everything you see on the media, everything you read in the paper, all of that is so far from the truth. But we're loaded with this to keep us in a place. They want us at war. They want us in fear, because that keeps the planet as a collective on a lower frequency. But what's happening now is, because so many people are wakening up to who they really are, so many starseeds are wakening up, so many people are activating their gifts, the planet as a whole is raising in consciousness. So the more we raise in consciousness, the less power they have. And that's what's happening at the minute. And they're panicking big time, because this has never happened before on planet Earth. We have never been in this situation on planet Earth. That's why they're working so tirelessly behind the scenes, all the good starseeds, to try and help us, because they want this for planet Earth. But obviously the darker side don't. So that's when you hear this spiritual warfare, that's what that means. So,
have you felt pushback from them, Ciara?
Oh, hugely. I'm so much and you'll probably know what I'm talking about with this. A lot of spiritual attacks. So they will try and push you off course. They will try and they have so much control. It's actually very, and I don't try and give too much thought to it, because I just try. I'm aware of it, but I just say observe, but don't absorb. So be aware of it. Know it goes powerful, on. Don't give it too much of your energy. But what's happening is, a lot of healers, a lot of people doing air work, they're getting spiritual attacks. So this can happen physically as you're asleep. It can happen in the sense that they will put people in your path that will, do things to keep you on a lower vibration, so they can bring someone into your life that can, because obviously if you think about it, they want us on that lower vibration, so we have the disconnect. So they send people into our life to really bring out the worst of us, to make us fight, or and that's keeping us in a lower vibration. They have so much control. It's unbelievable. So that's why I always say to people, just stay in the light. If you just stay in the light, and don't feed the fear, they don't have the control over you. So I get lots of spiritual attacks at nighttime. I call in my protection, and I know how to handle it, but it goes on a lot. So they are trying their darndest for us not to ascend, and they're because they've had control of planet Earth since the beginning of time, and it's all the big. The banks and the pharma companies and all, that's where all these reptilians are, because they have control of all of that. but the light will always win. The light will always
light
win.
will always win, and love will always win. And I remember like reading before that like fear is simply the absence of love.
Absolutely.
And like where if love can flow to that, then fear can't exist. But
100%.
it's so fascinating what you say about the psychic attacks, because like, and like you say, like we're not talking about this to hold space for that. We're talking about this because I think awareness is really powerful for people to understand that this is how they can infiltrate your mind and your life.
Yeah.
But I remember actually I was doing it was a meditation / healing with my counselor, who's also a healer. And I remember it's to do with charging. So as a healer, sometimes we have a lot of blocks around charging for our time.
Well, that's very starseedy. That's the angelic. That's the angelic. I have not met an angelic starseed who does not have an issue with charging. We are all the same.
Guys, we're going to make a living out here too.
I know, but you see, this is the thing. We stupidly, like, up there, like the way that, because this is ingrained in your soul, remember. So it's very common with the angelic starseeds to really struggle with charging for services to serve. So like their healings or the whatever, and they really struggle with that, because from an angelic point of view, that should be given freely. You know, but we don't, we live in a third dimensional world. So, you know, we need money to pay the bills. You don't need money when you're an angel up in the angelic realm.
Exactly.
So angelic starseeds really struggle with that. So that tells me that you most likely are an angelic starseed. You're very Pleiadian as well, by the way, but a lot of starseeds struggle with that. All right. Yeah. It's a tough one.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I feel so connected to the Pleiadians and the angels, of course. But that time with my counselor and that meditation, we're working through that block of charging, and I remember I got this image of myself, and it was basically like an image of me. So my background is I studied law and I worked in HR. Then I had my son, went on a spiritual awakening. Now I'm doing this. But it was like a version of me wearing corporate clothes. And she was like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're crazy. Like, you're going to be labeled as crazy. Like, people are going to think you're mad. And it was like really like aggressive. And I remember at the time my healer being like, okay, Siobhan, just call Michael in. And I called him in, and she was like, does this feel connected to you? And I was like, it looks like me. I was like, she doesn't feel a part of me. And actually, a part of the meditation, I tried to I was looking at her like this kind of like lower vibrational me who maybe is a parallel universe or a different quantum reality, possibly a past life. And it was like, she was really like bags under her eyes and like miserable. And I tried to actually amalgamate with her to be like, can we be one? Like, can we move forward like together? And it was like, boom, like bounced straight out of me. It was like, no, you're not meant to amalgamate. And I don't know if that was a form of like something in my subconscious or a psychic attack or something to be like, bring her back down, like tell her she's crazy, tell her not to charge.
My guess is it's a past life version of you. So in that instance, what I would recommend would be cutting the cords of that version of the past life of you. Instead of amalgamating together, would be cut the cords and the contracts and the
That's actually mad that you say that, because I did another meditation with her like a week or two later, and it was very past life and ancestral too. But I drew. I'll send you the picture later on Instagram. I draw sometimes in the counselling, because she's also like an art psychotherapist. But I drew this picture of like a face with this like black thing around my jaw and ears, right? And I was telling my partner about it that evening, and he went on Google and he showed me a picture of like back in the olden days when people were like gossiping or like talking out of turn or speaking against someone in power, they would actually put this like metal thing onto your face and lock your jaw closed.
Is that where it comes from?
And I drew that onto a picture through my counselling that I had channeled, and it was black, and I was like, oh my god, it's obviously like, you know, you mentioned past lives, like if you incarnate and you have this kind of connection to, like you said, the angelic realm, or even if you're just an earth soul and you're trying to just wake up, deepen your connection to yourself, know that you can raise into your upper chakras, and that you don't need to follow a system or a patriarchy. It's like
Yeah.
In past lifetimes, I'm sure it was harder too because people were really, really controlled, especially by like the Catholic Church in Ireland as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was like that sense of like being shut up, like just shut up because you're crazy.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm here in this life to be like, hey, we're gonna do it this time.
Yeah, but it is absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I just, as I said, just I find it very powerful to just do a cord cutting exercise on that part of yourself,
Yeah.
and just because there's so many different versions of you out there from past lives, and we carry that stuff on, and yeah, it's so fascinating when you get into
Yeah.
it. Like, but yeah,
It's so fascinating. And I wanted to ask you as well, like you were mentioning about that kind of struggle, like that kind of spiritual war between like the darker side wanting to keep us here and the light trying to rise. Like what is essentially like the goal for the raising and the light, and then like the kind of the opposite of that? Like what are both sides ultimately working towards?
well, the darker side want to keep control of Earth because
Mm-hmm.
that's what they want. So they don't want us ascending because they have, if you look at what they're in control of, like all that money and power and all of that. And obviously the light want us to ascend because that this was always supposed to happen. Earth was always going to start off in the three-dimensional energy and ascend into the fifth dimensional energy. So if you look back at the ancient civilizations, Atlantis and Lemuria, they would have started off in fifth dimensional consciousness. So they done it's called the Earth experiment. So Atlantis and Lemuria, Atlantis was there first and then Lemuria. So Atlantis was more Starseed souls went there if they wanted to learn more about spiritual technology, and you went to Lemuria if you wanted to advance more of your spiritual gifts and stuff. So they were two quite different, but they coexisted for eons together. And there was now, and they were in fifth dimensional energy. They had all their gifts. They were telepathic. They could do all of these amazing things. And then people started to misuse their powers, and like that greed took over, and they ended up going to war. So that's with the fall of Atlantis. And what happened then was a lot of the Atlanteans fled to Egypt, and they set up a little colony in Egypt, and that's why the pyramids and stuff would have a very Atlantean influence. So a lot of them would have brought their codes and stuff to the pyramids of Egypt. So they, when there was the fall of Atlantis and Lemuria, and they got submerged. So Lemuria, for instance, is where Hawaii is now. When that happened, when the Earth experience was then created, they done it the opposite way. They said, okay, we're not going to allow them to be in fifth dimensional. They'll start off in three dimensional, and then over hundreds of thousands of years, they will advance into fifth dimensional. So that's what's happened. So this was always supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But obviously the darker side don't want it to happen because then they're going to lose all control, which is the last thing they want. So they're trying to stop the ascension process from happening.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I
And
know that's a bit.
control to them is like the ultimate. And like you mentioned Atlantis and Lemuria there. So Atlantis and Lemuria, are they on planet Earth?
Well, yeah, they would have been. Well, they've now, so they've obviously they've submerged. But so I can't remember where Atlantis was, but I know Lemuria is where Hawaii is.
Oh wow.
Hawaii is
Say Hawaii
is.
is like the heart chakra of the Earth as well, don't they?
Yeah, but I'm so drawn to. I've been to Hawaii before. Now I went
Wow.
well before I started my spiritual journey. I was only 20, I think, and I remember when I got to Hawaii, it's so hard to describe. I just remember being very emotional. I remember, and I didn't know like none of this. I hadn't even started my spiritual journey at this point, but it's something that always stays with me. And I remember saying to myself, I'll be back here. I'll be back here to, I know I will. So obviously I didn't know at the time that's where Lemuria was, and I would have had quite a few lifetimes in Lemuria. So I can't remember where Atlantis is now. I'll have to look that up. I can't
Is
remember
it
where
like
that was.
is it like near the North Pole or something? I don't know why I'm thinking like up that way.
That's as far as I know, but I don't want to say because I'm not 100%
Yeah.
sure, but I think it's in and around the Arctic area. It could be, I don't know, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
But I know Lemuria is where Hawaii is anyway.
Oh my God, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanted to talk to you as well about, so we talk so much about star seeds and, our role on this planet. And I know one of your roles as a star seed is your healing modality that you have channeled for star seeds. So
Yes, my
I'd love you to
cosmic
tell
diamond
us,
healing.
yeah, tell us like, how did that happen?
So about 2 years ago, no, maybe not 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, I was getting the very clear message that, so remember I was saying to you earlier at the start of the interview, my role has changed a lot. So when I started out, I was just doing Reiki, and I wanted to be a healer, and that's what I want to do. And now my role has changed a lot. Now I know it's my soul's mission to help people who are both Earth and Starseeds, not just Starseeds, but Earth souls, wake up on their spiritual awakening journey. I'll be here to support them and give them the tools to get through it and all that. So about probably 18 months ago, about a year and a half ago, the message was coming in very clearly from my guides that I was going to bring out my own type of healing. And there was huge resistance with me because I'm like, who the fuck am I to think I'm going to bring out my own healing? So there was massive. So I was like, no. And they were like, yes. And I was like, no. And this went on for a long time. And the message was coming in really clear, Ciara, people need this. So it was a long time in the making, but it was basically channeled to me. So the cosmic diamond healing, it is for star seeds. You don't need to know you're a star seed, but what my guides told me is if you are interested in it or you book a session for it, you are a star seed. It wouldn't resonate with your frequency otherwise.
Okay.
So you'd be guaranteed if you look at it and you go, oh, that sounds interesting. So you don't need to know you're a star seed, but if it resonates with you even in the slightest, then you'd be almost guaranteed that you are. So what this healing is, I use it is a healing as well, but it's more of an activation. So all different star seeds will carry different codes, okay? And different codes are related to different lineages of star seeds. So as you're going through your awakening journey as a star seed, your codes begin to activate. That's why a lot of people, star seeds, do grid works, because they're it's the codes that are within themselves that they're working with the land to activate the original intelligence grid of Earth. So one of the codes that I carry is the Elnara flame, and it's one of the Lyran codes, and it's a code of soul remembrance and soul awakening. So I use the Elnara flame, and so firstly they channeled this, and I'm not a writer. I'm not I struggle putting pen to paper actually, but they channeled a meditation for me that I guide you into at the beginning of the session. And then I use the Elnara flame as part of the healing, and light language, because light language is an activation as well. So we use light language, the Elnara flame, angelic healing, and touching on different meridian points. And it's an activation in the sense that it will activate, it'll turn the key to start activating the codes that you hold within you as a starseed. So it's really beautiful. It's really powerful. And yeah, I sat with it for it was challenged to me over the space of about 6 months. And then I sat with it for about a year before I had the courage to bring it out, because I was like, I really battled with it. I was like, I suffer big time with imposter syndrome. That's one of my things that I need to work through. I have terrible imposter syndrome, and my imposter syndrome really went in full swing with this, because like that, I was like, who am I to bring it? Like, who? I was thinking people would think, who does she think she is, bringing out her own heel? And so I really struggled with it. So I sat with it for about a year, and then it was only earlier this year they're like, you need to do this, and they gave me a big kick up the arse. So I just said, I'm just gonna release it, and I did, and it's been extremely powerful. And seeing people who come to me and not knowing they're even are a starseed, and having visions of like the Pleiadians are coming in for them, or the Lyrans are coming in for them, and their light language is activating, and it's blown my mind. Like they were telling me it was going to be powerful, but to actually see it is incredible. So yeah, that's my little cosmic diamond healing.
Oh my God. And I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, what do you see, or what can people expect after a healing with you, and when it kind of when you bring that energy in for them?
Mm-hmm.
What have you
Well,
noticed?
so what this is doing is it's unlocking the key. It's like the key is unlocking the codes to start to wake up. How quick those codes wake up is all very individual. For some people, it's happening straight away. Like I have one of my clients comes to me, and things have opened up so quickly for her. And she wouldn't have even know. She didn't even know what a starseed was when she first came to me. She was just knew she had to have this healing session, and she's come to me for quite a few of them. And she's channeling the Pleiadians and everything. Again, it's very individual because we're all on our own little journey. So depending on how quick so this is like it kickstarts it for you, if that makes sense. And again, how quickly things are going to open up is very individual.
But
it's like
it
starts the engine. Exactly. It starts the engine. And it's just amazing to see.
I say so.
Yeah,
that's absolutely incredible. And I imagine like the different point, like I know you said you were really focusing on the Reiki and all your different modalities. Like I'd say you had to go through so much and learn so much, and then it was like, okay, it's time now. We're gonna get her to channel this now.
Yeah.
But you mentioned there, I know we mentioned a few times as well in the episode, light language, and I'm conscious of time, but I would love you to tell us like what is light language?
Yeah, so again, light language, my little one, Ava started speaking light language when she was 2, and that kind of activated my light language. So it's the easiest way. So light language is the easiest way I can describe it is light language is the language that they speak up in the other realms, the other dimensions. So every starseed race will have their own light language. So you'd have like Arcturian light language, Pleiadian light language, Lyran light language. So it's like the language of the stars, is how I would say it. So
that's so beautiful, actually.
So it's like it's a frequency. So some light language is just humming, like, it's not necessarily just words. Like it can be humming, it can be sounds. So it's like it carries a frequency, and that frequency, whether it's through the words, whether it's through, So when I'm speaking light language, I don't even know what I'm saying, but my soul knows what I'm saying, and your soul, who's hearing it, will know it. So people will always say, I didn't know what you were saying, but it just felt so beautiful, or it just felt so calming, because your soul knows what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's a frequency, it's a sound, and it's another form of healing, basically, and activation. So it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Again, my light language is it's opened up very slowly over the last 5 years. But obviously the more you use it, the more it comes through. And it's not something like people will say to me, can you speak light language? I can't just speak. Like I couldn't sit here and go, like, I don't even know this. Yeah. I don't even know how, like,
you have to be in the zone.
Now I know some people that speak light language, and they could just speak it now. But for me, it comes through when I'm deep in channeling. And that's when mine comes through. But I do know people who could just, like, they'd be able to just say a few lines of light language to you now. So everyone's light language. And I feel mine is getting stronger all the time. Obviously, the more it's like any type of energy work. The more you use Reiki or Rahani, the stronger that muscle. The more you work that muscle, the stronger it becomes. And it's the same with light language. The more you use it, the more you're open to it, the more it's able to flow and channel. So
yeah. And like there's a lot of resistance there. Like mine's very, very baby, and it comes in for maybe like a minute or two in healing, and then that's it. And funny enough, it comes in a lot when I'm working on the sacral. And I'm like, okay. And it's mad. But is it Pleiadian light language that you would be channeling, or is there different languages that would come through?
A lot of my light language is actually Lyran. And I've actually never had an incarnation in Lyra, but a lot of my light language is Lyran. Sometimes the Pleiadian will come through. Sometimes Blue Avian will come through.
Do they sound different?
Yeah, they can sound. So So Palladian is very high pitched
Mm-hmm.
and very quick. Whereas Lyran is more, I can't do it, but
People are going to be going on YouTube and light languages after this.
so they actually sound, a lot of them do sound quite different, but it's all like, if you just put into YouTube, like Lyran light language or, Palladian light language.
Do you have any videos on your Instagram if you're doing like light language?
Not on my Instagram, no.
Yeah, I wonder. Maybe you will. I know it's probably maybe this one of those things that people are a little bit like, oh, putting out there because it's like,
yeah. Well, I'm in the middle of setting up a membership hub.
oh wow,
I'm working on that in the background, and there's going to be light language stuff on that. Yeah.
oh, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fascinating. I'm so excited to get. I'm getting my cosmic diamond healing soon, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited for it. So, Ciara, I wanted to ask you, your thoughts on Jesus Christ, because I know we kind of mentioned about I think the Catholic Church in this, and we talked a lot about starseeds.
Yeah.
What is your stance on that, and who he was as a person?
Okay, so Jesus, his real name was Yeshua. So Yeshua is actually a multidimensional being. So he would have originated. He's from all over. His energy primarily is very Syrian. He would have spent time in Andromeda and the Pleiades as well. He's an ascended master, as you know, but Jesus, Yeshua, his mission when he came here to Earth was to bring Christ consciousness to the planet. So himself, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, they're all multidimensional star beings. He would have had he done a lot of his training before he came to Earth, as I said, in Andromeda and Sirius, the Pleiades. And yeah, he never wanted to be worshipped. He never wanted, obviously he came, he had all his gifts. He had a massive Kundalini awakening. Yeshua would have done on his earthly life. From the age of 13, he'd done all of his spiritual training. He would have traveled all over the world he would have trained with different Buddhists and Druids, and he actually spent time in the UK, and a lot of people know that. And then he had his big Kundalini awakening when he was in the pyramids of Giza are in direct alignment to Sirius, where the pyramid of Giza is built is in direct alignment to Sirius. And when he was in the pyramids of Giza, when he was 28, I believe, he had his big Kundalini awakening there. They brought him there at a specific time when there was a big astrological event that took place. So like the Lionsgate portal,
Yes.
the 8th day. So that's a big astrological event that happens every year, and it's when Earth, the Sun, Sirius, and Orion's belt come into alignment, and the energies are just all of these light codes come in, and the energies are so powerful. So it was something similar when he was in the pyramids of Giza, and he had this massive Kundalini awakening, and that propelled him into that 5D consciousness. So that's how he could heal, how he was telepathic, and how he had all his gifts. But he knew what he came here to do. Like, he wasn't an earthly being, as in, like, he knew he was a multidimensional starseed. So yeah, he religion and that was all put on him by man.
I was just going to say, was that actually the opposite team taking control of the narrative and being like, well, we can use this to control people into the church? And
absolutely, and everything that you have read about Jesus, about Mary Magdalene, about Mother Mary, it's just, let's say they twisted the tale to suit their own agendas. But Yeshua, always, I mean, there was no judgment. He is pure love. My ear was ringing so loudly now.
I feel really emotional as you're talking about him. My eyes started welling up.
There is no judgment with Yeshua. That was all put on him. So the religion and spirituality are two very, very different things. And
I feel like I want to say, so no disrespect to anyone who is religious, because that's your faith.
Absolutely, and religion has its place. Religion has its place. It brings a lot of comfort to a lot of people, and that's no judgment. That's absolutely fine. But you can be very spiritual and not be religious, and you can be religious and not be spiritual. They are two separate things. But Yeshua never wanted to be worshipped. There was never any judgment there with him. That, that was a lot of the stuff that was put on by the churches after he ascended. So he's a very high vibrational, multi-dimensional being, and he's working a lot now back with us. And that's why when the Bible said Christ will return, they mean is Christ consciousness will return. And that's exactly what's happening. Christ consciousness is the 5D energy. Christ consciousness is the 5th dimensional consciousness, and it is returning because that's where we're going. So that's what the whole Christ is returning, is Christ consciousness is returning.
I feel really emotional as you're speaking about this. I think it's so true. Christ is returning, Christ is coming again, but Christ is within us. That Christ consciousness is something we can all achieve in this lifetime, and that's where that's where the narrative, I think, gets mixed up or maybe suppressed.
Well, it's suppressed. And again, because there's an agenda behind it. But that was his mission. His mission was to come here to show us that source is within. God, source, whatever you want to call it, is within us all. And that's what his mission was as a starseed to come to Earth to do with Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary. They're all very high multidimensional beings. So yeah, they're still working with us a lot. Their energies are still working with us a lot. And such a beautiful love and energy, just pure love. Love.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing before a line that Yeshua would have said follow me, but it wasn't a sense of I'm your now leader. It was just follow in my footsteps and you can achieve this too.
And that's where absolutely. That's how you ascend. Follow me as in do as I do.
Yeah.
Be in that 5th dimensional energy, that Christ consciousness energy. And we all have it within. We all have source within. That's where our soul came from. Our soul came from source. We all have that within us. That's what I'm saying. We don't know how powerful we are as humans. That's why Yeshua came here to show us that we have that power within. We just need to unlock it and let it come out. Yeah.
That's so true. You mentioned the pyramids of Giza. Is it Giza? Is that how you say it?
Giza. People say it differently. Giza.
Potato. So you're going there soon, aren't you?
Yes, I go to Egypt. So me and my husband would have had a lot of past lifetimes in Egypt. So we're actually going next year to not just to Giza, to the Luxor temples as well, and another one or two places in Egypt. But I
cannot wait. I'm sure it'll probably be something that you'll share on your membership.
Oh yeah. I feel something big is going to happen there. There's going to be a big activation for us both while we're there. I feel my ear is ringing loudly as I'm saying that again.
Oh my god!
But,
oh my gosh, so exciting. I'd love to ask you about you mentioned ley lines and grid work.
Yeah.
Could you explain to us what is that?
Yeah. So ley lines. The best way to describe ley lines is as when you look at your physical body, we have meridians within the body. Earth has meridians within the earth, and they are ley lines. So that's kind of the best way to describe it. So the ley lines run all over Earth, and they connect with each other. So ley lines are like the power points of the earth. So that's why when you see all of the ancient sites, they're all buried. When two ley lines cross over, it becomes literally a powerhouse of energy, and that's where you'll find a lot of the ancient sites have been buried on it. So one of the ley lines here in Ireland runs through Skellig Michael down through into Tara Hill. That's why Tara Hill is built there. It's on the St. Michael ley line that then connects to Glastonbury and Stonehenge. So all of the ley lines all over Earth, if you think of it like meridians in the body, they interconnect with each other. And that's why all of these ancient sites, where any place there's an ancient site, that's what all the pyramids in Egypt were built purposely, because they're in direct alignment with the different star systems and stuff. And all of the ancient sites would have been built on these ley lines because they're powerhouses of energy. So grid work is where when you have those codes within you as a starseed, just being on a ley line or near these grids, and you're literally putting your codes and you're activating these ancient intelligent grids of the earth, these ley lines.
Just by even bringing your being there.
it's but these are all these grid lines are now starting to be activated again. So yeah, again, it's all part of what the Earth is going through at the minute.
Yeah.
But again, that's like, you could talk about that forever.
Yeah, Ireland is quite like, I think Ireland is quite would you say sacred? Like there's lots of parts of
Very much
Ireland that
so.
feel very like
Yeah.
sacred and connected. And
Yeah,
like even
very
like
much
when you're
so.
talking about the pyramids being built in alignment with Sirius, like I'm sorry, they did not build those pyramids by rolling stones on sticks or
No.
whatever they bloody said. Like
They had a lot. They had the galactic
people.
influence. Sure, there's all code scribed into the pyramids from the galactic beings. That's,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's so fascinating.
Yeah.
But yeah, God, we talked about so much. There's so much I could sit here and question you about, but maybe I just have to have you on again next season. Um, but before we go, I love to ask guests I have on a piece of advice that they'd like to share. It could be advice that someone gave you or something that you have learned. It could even be a quote, just something that you'd like to leave the listeners with before we go.
Oh, do you know what? A piece of advice, what I would say is when you're going through your spiritual awakening journey, it's really tough. Like, it's not all angels and roses, and it's so my piece of advice is find your tribe, find people that resonate with you, find people that you can have these chats with. I didn't have that at the beginning of my journey, and it was very lonely, because what happens is when you start on your awakening journey, everything changes. When your frequency starts to rise, you're just out of alignment with a lot of people. It can be very lonely. So my best piece of advice is find your tribe. Find those that are similar to you, whether that's you go to a sound bath or you go to a retreat or somewhere where there's going to be like-minded people, because it can be very lonely. It can be very confusing. It can be very upsetting. But there's so many people out there going through the same thing. They mightn't just be talking about it openly. So find your tribe and find those people that you can connect with, that you can have these conversations with, because it will make things so much easier, because you're not alone and there's so much help and support out there. So yeah, and just find the people that you can connect with, and they will be your support system. That's my best piece of advice.
I think that's actually really powerful advice, because like, as humans, we are pack animals, but also our souls, like you'll probably, like, I'm sure you'll agree, like when we come together, and whether it's for, like you said, at a retreat, or just even talking about things that we relate to, or meditating together, or journaling, it's so much more amplified and stronger, because you're finding your people and you're like aligning with someone.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really nice advice.
And one of the things I will say as well, Siobhan, is when you're going through this and you meet your tribe, you're more in alignment with who you truly are, and you're more in alignment with your soul. And that's when things can really open up. If you're on your own, that's why I think things were so slow for me opening up, because I didn't have anybody. So I couldn't have these conversations. I kept everything to myself. As soon as I kind of really put myself out there, and so when you find your tribe and you can have these conversations and you can do this work together, things will really start to open up more for you. So
we can have the cosmic conversations. Yes. I feel like that would be a missed opportunity. Yeah.
Absolutely, because you can feel like, oh my God, am I mad? Like, am I the only, like, but you're not mad. There's so many of us out there.
I know. And that's the thing, like, but we're made feel mad. We're labeled as mad. And who is that? Yeah. That is the opposite, working to bring us back down, to shush us up, to stop us from doing this work in the first place.
Stop us speaking our truth, stop us being our true, authentic selves.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Ciara, this conversation has been phenomenal. I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful to have met you. I've known of you for a while, but to really actually connect with you and meet you has been like, it's been really incredible. And I find you so inspiring, and I look at you and just think, wow. So thank you so much for your work and the work that you do. And thank you for coming on to Cosmic Conversations.
I've loved it. I would talk about it all day. So, thank you for having me.
Comment if you guys want a part 2. We'll have to get her on next season.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning into Cosmic Conversations. If you enjoyed this episode, then please let me know. Maybe consider leaving a 5-star review or a comment on what you thought. I'd love to hear suggestions and feedback on any topics you'd like me to explore or unpack, or maybe a guest that you'd like me to have on so I can pick their brain. If you have a cosmic confession or a dilemma that you'd like me to explore next week, then please send it my way on Instagram at cosmicconversationspod or email thecosmiccoach.ie@gmail.com. Thank you and see you next week.